Big up, big up. Good night, everybody. How you doing? How you doing? It's your boy MarkN, MUFC fan, and I got to come with you with the slight little version of the presser reaction. Got my boy Vegeta coming in. He's about to launch his own channel as well. Big up to him. Please give him a shout out when his channel pops. Be there and make sure you smash a like as well. Those of you on X, don't forget to give us a retweet. We're going to play over the manager's press conference. So everyone who didn't get a chance to see it earlier, you can get a chance to see it right here. And then we're going to ask, you're going to drop your stuff in the questions. Let me know what you're thinking. React to the press conference. Let me know what you think about it. What was the questions? What would you have liked to be asked? What was the answers? How did you respond to what Eric Ten Hag was saying in the press conference? Let's get this show on the road, guys. Don't forget to smash a like and subscribe if you're new. Definitely hit those notification bells so you can see when we're live again. Big up to all of you joining. Big up, big up, big up. Let me just welcome Vegeta in the building. Bro, how you doing, man? I hope you're well.
Bro, I'm well, thanks, man. How you doing?
Chilling, chilling. You know how it goes. It's one of those things. So let me just bring the press conference up one time. Let's get it snappy. Let's get it going, and let's listen to what he has to say, and let's react to what he is, and give our thoughts on what the manager's press conference was today, and how everyone else thinks about it. Let's see what those in the comments will have to say when they come in. Let's go.
Hello and welcome to the manager's press conference show. Now, as we get ready to face Arsenal on Sunday, manager Eric Ten Hag has been facing the media.
Hi, Eric.
Hi.
The main question I guess to start off with is, will you have any players back on Sunday?
I hope I have players, yeah. But there are players trained. They did train tomorrow. Of this morning, there was Bruno was on the pitch, and Scott McTominay was back on the pitch. So there are some players returning. But also I have to report that unfortunately yesterday Mason Mount fell out. So he will not be available for Sunday.
Is it? Obviously it's only 15 days to the cup final now. Are there any players that are definitely not going to feature again this season?
Not in this moment, definitely. But we have some doubts. And some players they're really fighting to be available, and that is so amazing. They all try. They are all desperate to play. Yesterday, Licia came to me. He wanted to play tomorrow, on Sunday against Arsenal, but he's not ready yet. He needs a little bit more time to go through the process. But he is so desperate, and there are more. Rafa Varane, Victor Lindelof, Luke Shaw had a setback in his process as well, but there's still a hope, and he will fight to be available for the final.
Martinez is keen to play in the cup final, but he's had 3 injuries this season. He's back on the grass. What's his situation?
I just tried to explain. He is desperate to play. He misses so much. The team missed him, and he wants to play, but as you say, he had 3 injuries across the season. And he's almost there, so injury free. So he's in the end of the healing process, and now he has to get back into team training, into matches.
Is there a situation where you're almost on the verge of gambling with players' fitnesses, or would you never do that?
I will never do a gamble with the player, never. It's about them, about their futures. Because that's the most important, about their careers. I have to take responsibility for it, and of course the club, that's the most important, but the safety from the player, the health of the player, I think that is also always a higher level.
And Rashford, where's he at the moment?
Rashford, of course, he's he trained this morning as well, and we have to see how he recovered from this. But I think it looks quite good, and I hope he can tomorrow make the next training and then see if he's available for Sunday.
Is it important to get the result, the performance right on Sunday, or are you already starting to think about that cup final?
Both, but we always go in a game to win and not preparing for next game. And of course it is in my back head, but we want to put out a team what is competitive for Sunday, a team what is eager to win, and yeah, we choose the best team for Sunday to win that game.
Eric, of course, you want to win the next game, as you say. At what point, though, do you start looking at the bigger picture and think about prioritising games?
You do always. So I don't take big risks with players now to win on Sunday, and with the risk they drop out again. But I think it's not so different in a normal situation if you didn't have that cup final.
And looking ahead to Sunday, Arsenal, how do you prepare for them? What do you expect?
Yeah, we know all. It's one of the best teams, or probably the best team. You can discuss about this. Is City the best team, or is Arsenal at this moment the best team? Very ball secure. Very good structures. We know we have to play to absolutely our maximum levels to get a result in, but we are capable of it.
What do you say to the fans, Eric, who probably look at this game and think after Monday we've got absolutely no chance?
So you see the fans on Monday, they were our example. That is what I told the players. They backed us, and I think they see how we struggle. They see our problems we have. So they have a very good understanding about all the injuries we have, that we struggle, but they keep backing the team, so I'm very pleased with them.
And just about Mason Mount, I mean, it almost encapsulates your season in a way, that he came, big expectations, and he can never play again.
It's very unfortunately very unlucky, and as you see, it's a symbol, but we have so many injuries, and it's difficult for all of us, for the whole club, but in particular the fans, and that's why they show unity. And when things are going bad, and you stick together, we will come out, and still we have to play for something really high. That's the FA Cup final, of course, and for the rest we will keep fighting in every game to get us also over the ranking into Europe.
Samuel. On a relatable note with Mount, do you regret not signing Declan Rice because he was available for transfer in the summer, given his impact at Arsenal?
He's a very good player. I would absolutely have fitted here, but not that I'm not happy with Mason. This is what you're suggesting. I'm very happy with Mason, and he's also a very robust player. You see if in his profile. He played, I think, the last 4 seasons, so this is the 5th. Then the last 4 seasons only had a small issue in the end of his Chelsea career. Before that, he played almost all the games 3 seasons after each other, with 3 days turnaround. He always played, and so I think it's really bad luck what happened to him. And he's a very good player, and we really missed him across the season, I think, because he would have absolutely would have a contribution to our levels.
James.
Eric, your fellow Dutchman Louis van Gaal had a difficult second season in charge at United in the Premier League in Europe, but then went on to win the FA Cup, but to his great disappointment was sacked. Have you got any concern that the club, that even if you go on to win at Wembley, that the club might end up making a similar decision to what they did over Louis?
No, I think they have common sense, and they see when you have 32 different backlines, when you have 8 centre backs, you use 8 centre backs. If they see we use 13 partnerships in centre halves, when they see when we don't have a left fullback, when we have so many injuries, they know that will have a negative impact on the results. And still, we are fighting. And it's huge, FA Cup final. So we are very happy to be there, and can still be a highlight for this season. And of course we are not happy, but we know the reasons why we are underperforming in the ranking now. And that causes the injuries. And I'm a realistic person, and I see this when I make this analysis. And no team will perform when you have so many injuries in key areas.
Last question in this section, Rob.
Hi Eric. I think most fans would probably accept the problems you've had to face with the injuries, and you say that you've had so productive conversations with the owners behind the scenes. But do you not think it would be of value for the owners to say, beyond any doubt, that you're going to be manager here at the start of next season? Because that way all the uncertainty just goes away. The fans stop speculating. The players are sure of what's happening. Do you not think that would help if the owners came out and said?
This question you have to make to the owners, not to me.
It sounds like you would quite like them to do that.
But once again, you have to make this question, and it's your opinion, and you have to make this question to them and not to me.
But that's part of the why you're in such an unfortunate position, because you have to sit here in front of us, and the owners aren't in front of us.
Yeah, but that's my job, and I take responsibility for that, to speak with you, and that's why I'm the manager, and to give the answers. And I don't care if they do or they don't. I'm working on improving my team, to develop my team, and that's my job here.
You can tune into Matchday Live from 2 o'clock on Sunday.
Guys, that was the manager's press conference. I don't know what you all are thinking, but I dropped in the comments all the information that you could possibly be wanting to take the snippets from, the key points, I think, of the match. So you can get in the comments, react to them, let me know what you're thinking, how you are feeling. I see my buddy Vegeta disappeared, but I think he'll be back really soon. What are your thoughts, guys? I think there are lots of key points to take away. Mental ball game, big up to you, my brother. I hope you are well. Mason Mount has been ruled out, injured, guys. Not a good season for him by a long shot. It's been one of those things where he can't help but, face setback after trying to come into this squad and make an impact in his first season. Also wearing the big number 7, I see my buddy is back. Yo, broski, what's good?
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know what happened there. Yeah.
All good. You know what I mean? Did you manage to get to the presser?
No. Yeah. I saw the whole thing.
Mason Mount, bro. Let's start there.
Okay, let me not say worst number 7, but that number 7 is wasted on that guy, to be honest. But you know what it is, Mark? I don't even want to look at Mason Mount per se. I just feel like the medical department at Manchester United are just the ops at this point. I mean, we don't need to investigate the players. We know who's bad and who isn't. I feel like we need to investigate that whole department, because they're really killing Eric at this moment. They're like leaving him out to dry. He can't even say with certainty who's going to be back, who's not going to be back. Oh, one sec, that's my son. But you get what I'm saying? Let me just attend to my son quick.
All right, check him out, bro. Yeah, as you were saying, they need to check it out, because if you look at it, the 6 players right there that all have been injured in the last few weeks. Some of them have been injured multiple times, and they just haven't been able to get back to fitness properly. What is going on with the medical department, guys? I know Ten Hag might have his faults, and he might have made his mistakes, but this certainly screams unprofessionalism with the mental department. Even Luke Shaw had a setback. What is really going on? These questions need to be answered, and something strange must be going on. We need to get to the bottom of this. This must be the most important thing that we do this summer. Check on the medical team and figure out what is going on. If we need to get an overhaul going, if it's the facilities need changing, upgrading, something like that. But definitely we need to examine that very closely. He was also asked about Lisandro Martinez, and as he said, the team has missed Leacher, but he had 3 injuries. We would like him back, but we will not gamble with a player fitness and their future. Their careers are important for the club. When asked also in a second question by Simon Stone about, players and would he risk it to get a result this weekend. And, as he said, based on the follow-up to that question, it is important to get wins. The final league position is very important, as well as the FA Cup, But I don't take risks with players for Sunday, and I would not, even if we did not have the FA Cup final. And guys, that's very important coming from Erik ten Hag, because, a lot of people have been speculating maybe his training, maybe he's been rushing players back, and that's what's causing their injuries. But as you can see, the guy is saying there clearly, this is not the case. He's being told and given the green light by the medical department, and then little does he know the players aren't ready. So it's one of those things, guys. It's damned if you do, damned if you don't. I know my buddy Vegeta is going to come back in really soon to give his observation of the press conference and the information we have obtained. But let's go on a little bit and let's talk about the question that he asked. He was asked about Arsenal. And Erik ten Hag replied, Arsenal is one of the best teams in the league at the moment. They're the best in ball security, very good structures, and to compete, we have to play at our very best. And of course, Erik ten Hag his MO is always he wants to win every game. And the fans, when asked about what the fans have been viewing all season or what has been wrong, he was saying that on Monday the fans were our example. They see our problems, they see our struggle, but they keep backing the team. And for that, I am grateful to them. And he's referring to the fact that, we have been having so many injuries. And not only that, but, bad form, individual errors, plus maybe himself having mistakes. But, there's a serious lack of consistency with the back four pairings at centre back since we had 39 this season. And it makes it seem as though it sounds really funny, right? But there's no consistency there. And it's really hard to build up that consistent performance in front of the goalkeeper if you have to change them pretty much every single game. And that's what Erik ten Hag probably had to do for most of the season. So it's one of those things, but he's not dying by the fact that this happened. He's looking to work around it as best as he can. And sometimes it will work and sometimes it won't. That's the reality of tactical tweaks and, making changes and bringing in players into this team. It's a difficult situation for all of us at the club, the players, the fans, and they stick up and show unity together. And it's one of those things where I have to get off just now. For that, we must fight, and he was saying that it's a difficult situation for all of us. And because of the fans, they have to show that must fight for Europe. You know what I mean? And then he was asked a question, pretty much, a loaded question, did you regret not going for Declan Rice in the transfer window, And, to that he replied, well, Declan Rice is an amazing player and he's very good. But at the same time, he was not up. The one we got was, basically he said Rice is a very good player. And you're implying that I'm not happy with Mason. And he's referring to Mason Mount. He's a very robust and has just had a bad season, unfortunately. So it's one of those things where he has to take up for the guy. And, the media is trying to go at him all sorts of which way. And I don't know for what reason. So it's just one of those things that, it's time that the media give the guy a little break, ask actual journalistic questions, in my honest opinion. It's like they're just trying to, subjugate certain things to get a headline, to pin it on him. Like even if we were in for Declan Rice, the club never made an offer for Declan Rice. And we got Mason Mount. Why do you have to compare the two? It's just really, lazy from the media, in my opinion, And then they asked him the fateful question about the FA Cup and his compatriot Louis van Gaal, who had a very good season, but won the FA Cup, and they still sacked him. And he was asked if he think that they will sack him the same, and he said, "No, I don't think they will. I think they have common sense." And he's referring to that the new people coming in that are in charge of the football structure. They know the reasons why we're underperforming. And then he turned around and he said that he's a realist, and no team can perform with so many key players injured. The owners should be, and then he was also asked if the owners should come out and back him and clarify to the media, to the fans, where his position lies next season. And he said the owners should be the ones you should be directing those opinions to. And if you want you to give them clarity on my position next season, that's what they should be doing. And it's insane, some of the questions that they asked. Big up to you, Shea Arsenal fan. What's going on, my brother? We are going to be rivals on Sunday. I hope you know that you're probably going to come in there thinking you're going to stomp and burn Old Trafford down. But the ice cold wall of the Theatre of Dreams and the chants of the fans are going to be too strong for the Arsenal faithful on the day, I believe. And they're going to rally the troops. And, this underperforming United team is going to find some resilience in that game on Sunday. And in my opinion, they're going to get some result from it, whether it's a draw or a victory by the skin or the teeth, bro. And that's what I hope for. They also asked, what does he think about his position? And he said, I could only do my job. I don't care if they do or they don't. I'm focused on doing my job and preparing the team for what's to come. And, I think that's a good answer from the manager. It's one of those things where it's difficult for them, it's like weird how, like they kind of ask these kind of loaded questions rather than ask more important questions on, what could you see happening in the transfer window maybe, or what do you think, how do you think the game is going to play out? What is your tactical approach to the game against Arsenal on Sunday? Are you going to sit back and let them come on you and hit them on the counter? They didn't even ask any questions like that. It's pretty shameful from some of those journalists. It's shocking that they get paid so much money and are called journalists. They seem like they're more like tabloid writers at the moment. It's crazy. Insane. I know United has been having a bad season, guys, but it's one of those things, bro. It's like, that we've been changing our style of play. And I know a lot of people say, but you're still supposed to see something. But if you look at it prospectively and take a look and take a step back, if I'm pretty sure each and every one of us went to school and there was a previous time we're learning a brand new subject, and it takes us sometimes, while there's one or two classmates who are going to get it in the first day, some are going to still learn it at a little bit faster rate than you, and some other people might be struggling and some might never get it, and these things happen, but there must be a time for a learning curve. And yeah, we wish that Eric Ten Hag had implemented this system last season, but he didn't. For whatever reason, this is what was the case. So it's not like if we could rewrite the past, go back and yeah, he should have done it then. The time that was already gone. The time for that has gone. This is where we are now. And it's hard to say it because as a fan, we always expect to be in top four. We expect to be winning things as Manchester United fans. We've won the most. We've seen it all and we've done it all, guys. And lots of fans are enjoying the situation that we're in right now. It's almost as they're preying on our downfall. Even the media is taking the piss out of the fans. Don't get caught up in their massacre. Don't get caught up in their mess. They're so they're just trying to sell an agenda because they want our manager out. They don't ask questions about the controversial calls that have been happening to our team in the last 5 games. In every single game, we've given a penalty. And we've never received a penalty for similar calls. They don't ask any questions about those things. Why? And it's so funny because in the Chelsea game, they got 2 penalties. And if you look back at the replay, their players barely got touched. And if you show accordingly games where United had player subject controversial calls similarly with way more contact, we don't even get the call. And then you look at the game against Liverpool where the guy literally kicked Wan-Bissaka, got a pen. They kicked Garnacho back to back, and they said, no, what, he tripped. That's against Sheffield. That's against Burnley. The guy, it's really shocking. I know fans are hurting by the performances. I know fans are hurting by the results. I know some of the records that you're hearing that they're announcing, it sounds really bad. But at the same time, we are Man United, guys. Since when these people could chat to us When it was Alex Ferguson, he used to kick the press out for talking these, bringing up all these rumors and stuff. You know, why are we letting them control us now? They need us to sell their stories, guys. They need us to read their articles so it could go viral. Don't pay attention. I know it's hard, but just don't pay attention. Let's just focus on us. We are where we at right now based on the results over the last decade of poor management of funds, bad signings, overpaid players, and maybe mistakes by not backing other managers before. One of the key guys is that we need to sit back, take a step back, and think to ourselves. We really need to have patience because we all said we were 18 months ago, and now we're crying. Yo, bro,
What's up, Brusky?
just trying to chat to these guys, bro. I mean, it's just difficult right now, man, because as a positive optimist, I'm like, I was hoping for us to at least get top four or top five, maybe, and be done with it. But now it's kind of hanging the balance. And I just feel like there's so much context, man. Like, whether or not it's Eric Ten Hag or not, like, if we take the manager out of the picture, right, and we just have any manager dealing with this type of situation in this type of season, with all the situations that happen and all the injuries, it's a mad one, man. You
You know what
know?
it is, Mark? I feel like I was watching mixed stream with you earlier on, and the whole Ten Hag out thing. People can't have two conversations at the same time, which is sad. People can't have the manager conversation and then put that to one side and look at these other things happening, like the chaos at United right now. It's ridiculous. You've got the injuries. You've had the not the change in ownership per se, but some sort of structural change at the club. That's also caused its own disruptions because those guys are coming in with their own sets of plans that they want to implement. So that's already another disruption that the manager's having to deal with. You've got players not wanting to show up, players being disrespectful, players like there's so much as a United fan, you don't know where to look at this point in time to say what on earth is wrong. Because there's just so much wrong. Like you were saying, I was listening to you in the background. Luke Shaw has a setback. That's the same thing that happened to Malacia. He had a setback. People are coming back in to play one game just to get injured again. Case in point, Mason Mount. What's going on there? What are the recovery people not doing that these guys are getting injured almost straight away or are not being rehabilitated properly after these surgeries? Like this club, it used to be easy to say it's Ed Woodward or it's Richard Arnold, but now it's almost as if these issues have compounded it and become so much more worse.
I mean,
Honestly.
when you look at it, bro, I just look at it as bad management over the last decade that finally caught up. Like you have some debts and you just never pay them off, but they're little debts, and you keep picking up debts and you keep picking up debts, and then they all culminate into this one giant debt, and they're
Mm,
struggling to pay it because you could have done it little by little by little, fixed little bit. And we haven't done that over the years, bro. We've just made more
mm-mm.
and more problems for ourselves in the way we've managed things. And the shocking bit is that we all know this as fans, but we're going to blame this manager because he said he had a certain level of control in signings and transfers, and he had a certain level of control and input in what's happening with the team. You know what I mean?
Mm. Yeah, you know what, Mark? You know that I've got my qualms with Eric, but to put every single thing, I was starting to see people saying that the injuries were his fault now, and I'm like, guys, what are we saying? Like, if we criticize the tactics and to a degree how we set up, I understand that's his job. But when we're starting to say transfer strategy is his fault, uh, injuries is his fault. That's not the office and role of a manager. Yes, we were spoiled where people like Alex did it himself, but in this current day and time, you can't do that, especially when you don't have what do I say the credit that Sir Alex had to do those things, because unfortunately you're coming into a United side where fans want to see some sort of success. So to put everything at the manager's feet for me, like I said, I've got my own issues. But at the same time, it's like, guys, who are we being offered for managing options? I'm sorry. All of these options were being linked to. If I have to choose between that and what we have right now, this is a case of rather the devil I know. I'd rather stick with Eric.
Bro.
If it's Tuchel, if it's Deserby, if it's Southgate, if these are the names, rather the devil I know. Let's
Bro,
just see how far it can go.
because when I look at it, right, I'm not no. I'm objective, right, in the sense that if they was to sack the manager, I could survive because at the end of the day, I'm a Manchester United fan. You know what I
Yes.
mean? I was
Yes.
a fan before he was the manager. I will be a fan after he's the manager. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
I'm saying if with the way I look at it, all the positives that we are going to give to a new manager coming in, it's even more positive if we just do it with him because one, we fix a lot of people are not thinking about the player power problem, which could persist if a new manager comes in and the wrong players are the ones that are sold, you know. But if
Mm.
this manager is kept, those players who have that power, they're gonna lose that power because now it's gonna be, oh, we can't do that same thing this season. You know what I mean? They're not gonna the new owners are not gonna tolerate that another season.
Mm.
So they're gonna show themselves out if they were to do that. So now they're gonna have to put their head down. They're gonna have to work hard, and all the other players who were more positive are gonna start to get better and be more positive because everything is gonna be in a working direction. And yes, the manager maybe, I'm one to say that I disagree with him with the fact people think he should change the tactics because the only way I'm saying it because I'm looking at it like learning a new subject matter in school. You
Mm.
need to practice the basics until you get it right before you can go into the complicated or try something different with it or experiment. So I feel like it's okay that he was focused on keeping the same rigid system and making the players learn to play it regardless of what the result was. And I'm just saying that I'm mad that the results were worse than I expected them to be, if you understand what I mean. But at the
Last,
same time, I could understand people saying why they wanted him to change it.
now I fully understand it, and you know what, Mark? You require people to have multiple conversations at the same time, and for whatever reason, fans aren't willing to do that. That's why I've always said, and I think Ineos understands this because these people are smarter than me. Let me just put it that way. They didn't make billions by mistake. And you can tell in the strategic decisions they've made so far to say, we're not going to just come in and to appease the fans, we're going to make changes on the pitch, which we want to see those. But they understand that they need to have a strategic head because the head is where everything starts in anything. You get what I mean? If the head is sick,
100%.
then the rest of the body is not going to function properly. And I think
Exactly.
and I think that's what people like Sir Jim and all other people that he surrounds himself understand to say that we need to fix what's at the top because what we set for ourselves as leaders at the top is going to trickle down into the ethos and what this club is meant to be. And that's why I've always said people need to have a multifaceted conversation about this. It's not just manager in, manager out, player in, player out. I think that's the surface level of it. That's what we know and what we see on a weekly basis that needs to change. But there are deeper things, like for instance, our scouting network needs to be listened to. Because if these people keep finding gems but nobody's listening to them, it's a waste of their talents. You get what I mean?
Exactly. And not to cut you there about that, but like, look at how many talents we have found that went on to other teams and became superstars, right? Or big stars or starting players that we could have used. And a lot and the one thing I would say that, John Murtaugh and was a good he was better than Edward Water, but still his focus was on shirt sellers because we heard these stories about Bellingham, about Haaland, about other players that might have could have come into the club. Even recently, we heard that Xavi Simons was a target last summer, and they didn't go for him because they thought he wouldn't sell shirts.
Mm.
So it's just one of those things where we need to understand that our approaches before were terrible. We've garnered a reputation in the market that, listen, we're gonna throw money at this problem. We're not going to negotiate. We just go and spend. So they're taking the piss out of us every summer. And if you look at the way the negotiators and the recruiters have been operating in the last few windows, not just the last decade, but they never shop early when the prices are cheap. They always shop late when the prices are twice the price.
When you don't have the negotiating power anymore.
Exactly. But then we blame the manager because a player who should have cost us 45 million pounds cost us 100 million or 90 million pounds. When that is purely based on the negotiation team and the people above him who waited until they lost control of the deal. It's one of those things where you could look at it and say, listen, we could have had so many more players last summer and the summer before if these guys did their job. Because the manager came in his first season, his list of targets was issued on the May 4th. The transfer window wasn't open for a month yet. You are telling me you had a whole month to work on those transfer targets and you couldn't sign 2 of them or 3 of them, the priority or even the priority 1 on the list by the time the window opened. That is failure, bro.
Yeah, and it's funny you bring that up because I remember when Eric was joining us, he had won the Eredivisie on his side, but instead of celebrating with the boys, he prioritized his job at United. He literally got onto a plane. He wanted to get to work, and I was kind of excited about that because I was like, he's literally got the right mentality about this to say we can't rest on our morals. Because I remember Sir Alex used to do the same thing. We'd win the league or the Champions League, and he'd say, "Guys, next year." He's already planning for next year. And that's what I was seeing. I wanted. I think sometimes people hear our opinions on the manager and think, "Oh, you clearly didn't want him before." I wanted Eric. There were things I saw in the Eredivisie, and I'm not of the opinion that because he managed there, he's not good enough to manage here. Winning is winning, and if he knows how to do it somewhere else, he can surely bring it here. But I think, like I said, with what I've seen this season and all the changes and issues we're facing, it's bigger than Eric Ten Hag and co. And also, if I'm moving into a house and I'm seeing a couple of stuff that are wrong, like I'd like to break the walls down, you know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, he hasn't had the opportunity to do that in the sense that we still have your McTominay's here, your Maguire's here, even Rashi to a degree. You need to tear down the walls because these are people that, whether you like it or not, in the WhatsApp groups on social media, they're influencing everybody else. And it almost to a degree seems to be affecting the younger guys as well, which is a shame because once upon a time we had a culture where we had such elite players that when the young people came in, they kind of knew what this club was about. And we don't have that anymore. So we also have to build that back up, that whole we're Manchester United. We don't mess around. I don't want to cuss. We don't mess around here. We're elite players. There's a reason why we put on a suit and tie when we go to games. It's because
100%.
we want to win the battle long before we've even got onto the pitch. But like I've always said, and I'll maintain this, we've got football influences, and that's who you got grooming these young kids. It's unfortunate.
Exactly. And a lot of people, I mean, look at recently we had some huge headlines about, the abuse Rashford was getting, but what about the abuse some fans given to the manager? What about the abuse some fans given to Anthony Dos Santos? We know you might not like the guy, but keep it respectful. At the end of the day, we are a fan base that has class. We have history. We have European pedigree. You know what I mean? We have to show it, bro. We have to keep ourselves and hold ourselves to the same standards we want these players to be playing at. The same standards we want to be held at. The referees and the league seem to hold us to a perfect standard because they don't hold all other teams to the standards that they hold Man United. They could make mistakes. We can't afford them. Even the press don't allow any mistakes. I mean, Arsenal finished 2 seasons in a row, but at the end, but Man United and Eric Ten Hag is a crazy manager. I mean, people forget 3 years ago, or let's not even say 3 years ago. Let's just say 9 months ago, it was still Mikel Arteta out.
Mm, mm,
So I
mm.
don't understand why people acting Like if they was always seeing what Mikel Arteta was doing. Because last I checked in Eric Ten Hag first season, there was Mikel Arteta out on the gun on all the Arsenal channels. Arteta out. And all of a sudden, the winning streak continued into December and that died down. No, I'm
Johnny
not
does know.
saying that's going to happen to United. But what I'm
Yeah, yeah.
saying is, guys, that before Ten Hag came, we all predicted that this team was not going to finish top four. We were saying we probably would finish seventh or eighth or ninth in some cases. You know, some fans like me, diehard, was well, I say diehard, but super optimistic, would say fifth or top six. But nobody for sure was thinking that everybody was, was hoping for the best. And that was not because of the manager. We wanted him. That's because of the squad that we knew we had before he came. So for me, the rebuild must continue, guys, and player power must die. And although this manager may or may not be the manager to take us to the promised land, I think under a proper structure, he will get us where we want to go in the next 2 seasons. I think I want to say that, who's to say we get 5 to 6 players and they hit the ground running and we in a top four race next season, maybe even a top three race. Who
You know,
knows?
you know
You
what,
never
Mark?
know.
Football's a funny game like that because sometimes you're almost one window away from competing. I mean, you might look like you're down and out this season, but if we go into next summer with the right hits, doing the right thing, all of a sudden you've got a proper back line, which, guys, a defense, as we've seen this season, clearly is key to any successful team. If you're talking about 5 signings, and for me, 2 of those signings are centre backs and a left back, I think that's already got us competing because we've got, well, wait, correction, 2 centre backs, a left back, and a new medical department. Then we're doing something different because that already affects the mood. For one, Onana maybe feels a lot more comfortable because he's got people in front who are competent, who are not going to let millions of shots in front of him. Because people have been criticizing Onana for the longest time, but I'm like, guys, if you're conceding 20 plus shots every game, I don't care which goalkeeper you are. At some stage, you're gonna let in some weird goals. I mean, case in point, you saw Manuel Neuer. That's after one game, that near post, and people were blaming Tuchel for that. Football fans, weird.
Mm.
But I'm just saying, like you're saying, you're almost one window away sometimes from doing better. I mean, look at last season. We didn't expect that. Almost all of the signings we got last season were almost nigh perfect. We thought, wow, look at Ericsson. He seems like a steal. Casemiro, thank you, Real Madrid. You actually did us a solid. You know what I'm saying? Who else did we sign? Anthony. He looked good in the first couple of games he played for us last year.
Yeah. I
Anthony.
mean, I think coming down to the end of the season when he really dropped off was when because in since and I wouldn't lie to you, since probably February in the first season, coming to the end of the first season, February, March, there was reports that he was gonna get involved in a situation. So that was going on since then until it ran into December this season when, and I feel sorry for the guy in the sense that, he a young guy, it probably really had him distraught mentally, thinking that he was going to lose his career, lose his life, lose, his livelihood and these kind of things. And, whether or not, and I mean, social media have their way that is, view things and pass their judgments. But, I'd like to remind everyone that sometimes you really need to hold judgment until you have all the and all the information, not just
100%.
the initial report. Because sometimes, you don't want to be responsible for destroying a life indirectly or directly, especially with words, because it could be harmful to some people. And I myself might be very strong mentally, but I would never put myself in a situation to say this person is that or that person is that. You know, I mean, I come from a country where we make jokes with each other, and we might call someone a name like "yo, you head big, bro," that kind of thing, and it might be laughable in the moment, and but it's all in the fun and it's part of the culture. I'm not gonna do that with other people just like that because it's not something that you do just like that. You have to know people. So I just making an argument for everyone, do unto others how you'd like others to do unto you. Always keep the same energy going forward, whether it is with somebody you like or you dislike, because the enemy of the enemy is your friend, and you're supposed to kill people with kindness at the end of the day. You know what I mean? It's Friday. I hope everyone have a great Friday evening and enjoy themselves. Big up to you, Vegeta. I know you're starting your channel soon, bro. Give the people
Yes.
a little shout out. Let them know where you're gonna have coming soon. I'm doing a morning show tomorrow. That's actually gonna be the actual match preview where we talk about the match. You know, because I have to do something, bro. I forgot about something, so I have to make a call. And you know, guys, I want to thank everyone for joining us. Sorry I didn't have much streams this week. You know, I had a little bit of stuff going on. So, but from tomorrow and the course of next week, the morning shows will be back. And of course, you know, it's the transfer summer coming up, and I have lots of reports coming in for you guys with lots of news, lots of youngsters reports to be coming up as well, because there might be a really risky shift in what might be coming and be planned for next season based on the fact that there's Euros and Copa America. Lots of the squad is going to be supplemented with some of the youngsters, guys. So be prepared to see some of the young players a lot feature in the preseason tour. And it's not going to be two teams, it's one team playing preseason, and all the players will be fighting for spots in the playing squad. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us. It's been your boy MarkN, MUFC fan, and Vegeta Sama in the building. And it's us
So,
reacting to the manager's press conference. You know what it is. Smash a like, subscribe. Don't forget to tune in next time. And we will be here again. Big up to all of you joining.